This
And we'll
conference
start
will now be
recording.
recorded.
Good evening, everybody. This is the high-risk, recurrent, and advanced AnCan video chat on Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. I'm Len Sierra, moderating tonight. And we're going to start with Dane. And Dane, we're going to do a full intake on you.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and we'll start with, what's your last name, Dane?
Augustin?
Okay. And how old are you?
I'm 51.
And I think you said you were in Honolulu. Were you the one in Honolulu, or is that
No,
Chapman?
that's Chapman. I actually live in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, okay. That's nice. And when were you first diagnosed?
February they saw my PSA score. Well, I got a baseline PSA score of 24. And so my doctor sent me off to urologist. We decided to go to Mayo Clinic for that. And they did another one down at the Mayo Clinic. It dropped down to 21. Did an MRI. Saw that there's something there, so we went in for a biopsy. 15 out of 15 biopsies showed a Gleason score of 9. So then we moved on from there and did a PMSA PET scan. And that was done at the first of this month, and that's where they saw it went into my lymph nodes. They didn't see anything in the bones or the organs, so.
I'm sorry, when were you first diagnosed, Dane?
My PSA score is back in February. They ran the MRI, I think, in April. And then they just finally got my PET scan in May 5th. And that's where they saw it was in the lymph nodes.
Okay.
And
So,
I see
yeah,
my
we'll
oncologist.
say you were diagnosed. You were diagnosed in February.
Yeah.
You weren't diagnosed, but you had prostate cancer for sure.
Yes. And I see my oncologist on the 27th to come up with our treatment plan.
27th of May, just coming up in a few days.
Yeah, this Friday.
And so who is your oncologist?
Premier Singh? He works at the Mayo Clinic in Arizona. Singh.
Yes, so you have a good guy. We'll come back to you. But yes, Parminder Singh, we know him well.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So the only scan you had was the PSMA PET. Is that right, Dane?
I also had the MRI before the biopsy.
And that was negative, right?
Oh, no, it actually came back with something on the MRI that they saw basically the cancer there. That's why they went in to do the biopsy.
So the MRI showed cancer in the prostate and in the lymph nodes?
It just showed it in the prostate at that time.
Okay. And the lymph nodes, were they pelvic lymph nodes?
I do not know. Yeah, I think it was in the pelvic area. They saw a couple there from the PET scan.
Okay. Did they do a CT scan of chest, abdomen, pelvis?
They basically did the PSMA PET, I think it's PET/CT scan of the whole body.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
From head down to my knees.
Okay. I don't know, do they still do the CT for chest, abdomen, pelvis? Guys, anybody know?
Yeah, what they do is when they do that CT scan, they run a CT scan and then they run a PSMA scan, and I think they compare the two.
Yeah, I get the CT scans.
And bone
I
scans.
get them too.
Okay. Let's see. So, Dane, have you been started on any therapy, any hormone therapy or?
Not yet. I'm assuming when I go down on the 27th, they'll probably want to get me started pretty right away. And I'm assuming they're going to probably do radiation too. That's my assumption.
Okay. All right, let me open it up to the group. Well, first let me ask, do you have any questions for us? Any specific questions?
None at this time.
And Stacy today.
Okay, does anyone care to comment on Dane's situation?
I do. Dane, I don't think you've given us your next course of action, what's been recommended to you, what's the next steps?
Yeah, I don't
What's
think he
coming up?
knows, Carl. That's why he's going to the GU MedOnc on the 27th of May.
Ah.
That's what he's going to find out. He's coming on here so we can cover some questions with Dr. Singh. So I have a couple of things. First of all, Dane, have you measured your testosterone yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, be sure to do that in the next few days. You need to know your baseline testosterone. Now, a lot of docs don't necessarily agree, but if you ask the guys here, they'll all tell you that it was a very smart thing to do. There's a very good chance that you will be able to come off hormone therapy at some point in time, and so it's good to know your baseline. It's good to know if you got back to where before you started. So either ask your local urologist or whoever you're dealing with right now, just tell them that you'd like to do a testosterone test to measure your testosterone before you start treatment.
And Dane, have you had any genetic analysis done? Any blood drawn for that, for germline?
No, I have not yet.
Not yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Any history of prostate cancer in the family or breast cancer?
Yeah, my father and my grandfather on my dad's side, but they were in their 70s when they got it. And my uncle on my mom's side had prostate cancer.
Any breast cancer?
No.
Any other cancers at all, Dane, that you know
Yeah,
of?
actually, I was diagnosed 2 years ago with testicular cancer. And actually, my urologist, yes, my urologist and oncologist actually saw some of my first scan, but they decided it was probably nothing. So that was actually the prostate cancer they saw about a year and a half ago.
Okay. But in terms of relations, no melanoma or pancreatic or
No,
lung or anything like that, no?
no.
Okay.
Is any of your family from Eastern Europe?
Swedish is probably,
No,
yeah.
good. All right.
So it's actually guidelines now that you should be germline tested, meaning they should test to see if you have an inherited mutation. And given that you diagnose metastatic, they should also test the tumor. So it's probably a good idea for you to tell Dr. Singh, and I say tell rather than ask, but tell him that you'd like to do both genetic. Do you have kids?
No, I do not.
Okay. So tell him that you at least want somatic testing, which is testing the tumor, and maybe to do germline testing as well for the inherited mutation.
Okay.
Dane, just out of curiosity, who did your biopsy at Mayo? And was it peritoneal?
I do not remember her name.
Her name,
Things
okay.
happen so quick. So
Oh, I know. A tall, skinny lady.
no, I think she was kind of probably
Oh, no.
under 5'11", I think.
Yeah, but yeah. I think I know who she was. What's her name? I was in a meeting with her I know who she was. It'll come back to me in a second. But yeah. Yeah, she doesn't do peritoneal. Peter, the peritoneal's literally only starting right now.
I know, I was just curious because of the conversation we had yesterday.
Yeah, he's literally starting it up right now. Last
Right.
month, this month, they haven't been doing it.
Right.
This is John. Hi, Dane. My
Right.
situation a little over 2 years ago was exactly like yours. And I know that you're probably in disaster mode now because I was at that particular point, but the I wanted to tell you that in the last couple of years between our diagnoses, there have been some really big advances in diagnosis and treatment. And the fact that you were able to get that PET scan right off the bat and identify those lymph nodes probably saved you a devastating surgery, which most of the rest of us have had. And I have a feeling that in your treatment planning meeting, you're probably going to get something that was not thought about back a couple years ago when many of us were diagnosed. And so I'm really sorry to hear that this has hit you, especially at such a young age. But this makes me appreciate how very much we've learned in only the couple of years between our diagnoses, so that I think you can look forward to seeing this as managing a chronic disease rather than a disaster.
Yeah. Dane, are you married? Do you have a relationship, a family, anything like that? Because you're pretty young.
Yes, I just got married 6 months ago.
Okay,
7 months ago.
has she gone to the doctor? Is it he or she? Have they gone to the doctor?
She.
She. Is she up to speed on what's going on with you?
Yes, yeah, she's been part of the whole process. I've shown her my test results and talked to her about them and walked her through the different steps and all that fun stuff.
You want to do some good reading on this and talk because this is a game changer, not only for yourself, but for the relationship and everything too, because of some of the treatments you're going to go on are going to affect her considerably, and especially if it's a new relationship. You want to talk to some people, have her be able to talk to some other women who have gone through this. If you're a young guy, there's a lot of implications on this because it's going to affect your sexual function, your hormonal function, and it can be a little bit of a wild ride. So I'm older than you, quite a bit older than you, and I had just started a relationship about the same time I was diagnosed, and it takes a toll. You got to stay on top of this and make sure she's in the game all the way and knows what's going on.
Yeah, a couple of other things occurred to me. If you and your wife plan on having kids, that's another consideration. You would want to bank some sperm before you started treatment. That's something I chose to do. So it's particularly important at a younger age, Dane. So I wanted to mention that. The other thing which Dr. John was kind of walking around is that in this day and age, we tend to treat the primary gland. We did not do that 5, to 10 years ago. Very rarely. They really only did it. They did it at Mayo in Rochester. I don't know about Mayo in Phoenix. They did it at MSKCC, and they may discuss it with you. Dr. Singh may discuss with you, but at some point it probably makes a lot of sense to treat the primary gland either with surgery or with radiation. I see Scott just joined us. Scott was also diagnosed at a younger age than you, so he may have some words for you. Scott, Dane is 51 and just been diagnosed with prostate cancer that spread to the lymph nodes. He's going to Mayo in Phoenix, and he has an appointment with a good genitourinary medical oncologist in Phoenix on the 27th. So I'll let you talk with him in a minute. But Dane, it probably makes good sense to talk about treating the primary with Dr. Singh, and they may still recommend surgery. It can make a lot of sense for a man age 51, even with the lymph nodes. So I wouldn't take surgery unless you are that you have other comorbidities that would remove it. So Scott, you went through surgery, right? And had a very similar diagnosis. Please speak up.
There's a lot of familiarity there. I was diagnosed last July. I chose the maximally aggressive route, which is surgery. I did surgery in January. I started hormone treatment and chemotherapy in March after I was recovered from surgery. And I have to say that I'm very happy with the results of the surgery. I recovered very quickly. I got very lucky in many ways. As far as side effects go, there's been very minimal. Honestly, the worst part of it is, like a lot of people have said here, is the hormone treatments. Those are the ones that I think I'm suffering from the most. But the chemotherapy is really not too terrible. Like a lot of those side effects are under control as well. But this is kind of an individual choice with you and the oncologist you're going to be talking to here shortly. I'm glad to go into any of the details that I went through, why I chose the route that I chose. But ultimately, it's a very simple choice for me. I was only 42 when I found out. I'm 43 now. And the only choice I had in my mind is to just go as hard as I could, as fast as I could, with as much as I have. And so that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, that's very interesting, actually. I thought surgery would definitely be off the table. Yes.
Hey, Dane, this is Jim Ward. I was diagnosed at 52, so just a year later than you. I wanted to just share with you that although I really have virtually no complaints about the treatment that I've received, one thing that did not happen, which I think most guys in this group would tell you, that hormone therapy is almost certainly in your future, is to make sure that you get a bone density scan before you start the hormone therapy, which can tend to weaken your bones, so that you know what your baseline is. I didn't get one until a year into the hormone therapy, so that's just a tip there. Probably Dr. Singh would suggest that you get one, but sometimes something like that gets missed because you're focused on sort of more central important treatment.
And while you still have your testosterone, start taking vitamin D and K2. Like whatever you can do to supplement your bone strength now, you should do it.
Right. So
Dane, do you have pretty
can
good
I ask
insurance?
if you're at all physically active?
What's that?
Dane, can I ask if you're physically active?
Yeah, I
you
actually
have
lift.
any-
I lift weights about 5 times a week in the mornings, and I usually hike on average about 15 to 20 miles in a week. And I also ride my bike. I actually enjoy doing 100-mile bike rides. Fortunately, I'm
So,
not sure how well that's going to work out with the hormone treatment, but
well,
I
I
hope it
think
won't affect
I
too
think
much.
you can do whatever. It's really important to keep up what you can keep up.
You have pretty good
So
insurance. You have pretty good insurance coverage.
it's not bad. Basically, when I hit my out-of-pocket costs, everything will be covered by my insurance. So I think that's another $200, and then I'm free and clear.
So let's go back to the exercise for a second. Ken Anderson, do you want to give Dane a little encouragement on maintaining exercise when you go into treatment?
I've been trying to keep quiet, which sometimes is hard for me, but the exercise, you will notice significant muscle mass loss when you start AT, and it is shocking. Like leg muscle mass disappears in 4 months. So, right now I'm up in the Grand Canyon, we're hiking, and I can only tell you that the more you do, the better you'll be. So, mountain bike riding, long distance riding, anything you can do to keep your heart muscle, because that's probably the biggest muscle in our body that needs to be exercised. Anything you can do to keep it in good shape is going to be a big kudo. So I would say push yourself. Jim's comment about getting a bone density test is pretty important because bone density is lost. I'm one that does 18 to 20 mile hikes. So anyway, yeah, I would do the most you can. I wouldn't sit down when you're tired,
Okay.
Anyway, that would probably be it, but keep busy.
So a couple of things, Dane. One is, I don't think we have your email address, and if you would like to put it in the chat window, you can either put it privately to me or to Len, Rick or Len, or you can send it to rd@ancan.org. If you do that, I'll connect you with Scott, because I know already that Scott's willing to help you. I know I got his number down already, and I know he'll help you. And I think if we can connect the two of you, you've got somebody who's in a similar situation. Second thing is we have another group that we run once a month for men under 60 diagnosed with more advanced disease. Scott's in that and some of the other guys. So if you give me your email, we'll make sure you get notified about that group as well. Yeah, I think that was it, unless if you have more questions, but I would also say that it's probably worth coming back and talking to us about Dr. Singh. I'd be happy to connect. We've got a couple of guys who see Dr. Singh on a regular basis, but neither of them are in the room tonight.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would connect you with them. But if you'd like to speak to one or both of them, they're both older. But if you'd like to speak to them, I'm more than happy to connect you. We just referred today really, just referred a gent who has a different type of cancer. Even though it appears in the prostate, it's a pretty aggressive type of bladder cancer. And we just referred him to Dr. Singh today. So, we have confidence in Dr. Singh, and he's a good choice. Was the lady who did your biopsy Dr. Stern, Karen Stern?
That sounds familiar. That very well could have been.
Yeah. She seemed pretty nice when we met her.
Rick,
yes.
this is Jim. Hey, Dane. Anyway, I've been on ADT now for 57 months. The thing I do happens to be to ride a bike. Okay. And provided you do with the legs, you will then maintain and with a muscle mass. Okay, it is the arms that will go down. Anyway, I happen to ride a bike probably about five days a week. The thing I suggest though is that if you have a skinny seat on that thing, get something else. Okay, a bigger one.
Okay.
Okay, and it's a great thing to do. Anyway, I happen to love it. Anyway, ADT wise, it will lessen anyway the side effects immensely.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Okay, Dane, thank you for sharing your story. We look
Well,
forward
let me,
to.
this is Bruce. I'd like to suggest that Dane do the color avenue for getting his germline DNA test.
Oh, yeah, it's a good thought. So Bruce, what Bruce is talking about is that there is a trial program right now. Somebody will put the information in the chat window, maybe Mr. Marchi or somebody else. And you can get a germline test that is a test looking for any inherited mutations. You can get that for free. And so you might want to do that and also talk to Dr. Singh about a somatic test, because it's possible that you may have some stuff going on, given you're the third generation. There may be some unusual mutations in there, but thank you, Bruce. It's a really good idea. And Dane,
So
be sure to get it to let us, if you'd like us to connect you and to sign you up for these other meetings, please be sure to let us have your email address.
Okay.
Anyone else want to say something to Dane before we move on?
This is John. First of all, Rick, thank you for clarifying what I said. Second of all, your wife can sit in if she wants.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we have a caregivers group too, Dane, that we can sign your wife up to. She's more than welcome to attend that.
Okay.
You know, Lynn, the last thing I'd like to say is make sure, Dane, that you get out, enjoy life.
I tried doing that. I've always had a dream to hike the Appalachian Trail, but that might not come true so much. I have to do it a different way.
Well, make it happen. There's, you know,
Yeah.
you have to learn about this disease, no question. I mean, the more you know, the better you'll be. Better formed you are, the better you'll be able to manage your doctors better. But definitely get out and do those things you want to do.
Okay.
Dane, this is Julian Morales. Did you get a second opinion on your biopsy?
We're actually sending that out right now to, I think it's like 3 other doctors. I mean, it's 2 other doctors. We have something through our insurance that basically they go in, they take all our medical records, and then they send it off to people that are experts in that field. So hopefully we'll get that back here shortly.
Julian, I think it's less relevant in a situation like Dane's, because we know, he was diagnosed, what was it, 4+5 or 5+4, Dane?
5+4.
5+4. So there's a pretty strong likelihood he's not going to get dropped to something less than an 8, and he's got disease in his lymph nodes. So that's sort of enough information that if we even sending the biopsy slides to Epstein wouldn't change much unless they saw something like intraductal or cribriform or something weird. It might be worth doing it for that. But I suspect that the level of treatment that's going to be recommended is going to pick that up going forward. And thank you very much for Julian for putting in the information in the chat window on color.
I have a phone number if he wants it.
Sure.
For the Laura Gross, is the coordinator at for this study.
Yeah, that'd be great. Can you put it in the chat window, Bruce?
Oh,
I'm on a telephone line. Yeah.
He's on the phone.
Yeah, if you have it handy, I'd like it, actually.
Wow, someone put in a short novel, Joe Gallo. The 500-word essay there, but okay.
That's our upcoming presentations next week.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
With registration link for the first one.
Thank you, Joe. Dane, one other thing, educate yourself. I mean, certainly come back and join our group. You'll learn a lot here, but get your hands on a good prostate cancer reference book, something like the Prostate Cancer Foundation's Guide for Patients. Read it cover to cover, be your own best advocate, we say here, and educate yourself as much as you can.
Okay, yeah.
Or The Key to Prostate Cancer by Dr. Mark Schultz is pretty good. It's very current.
Do you have that telephone number, Bruce?
Oh, I can get that, but I was on the. I'm calling in from a phone line.
Right. I thought did you want to give us the telephone number or not?
Oh, well, I will.
Okay, don't worry, we'll move on. Don't worry. There's enough information there that you can follow through.
Okay, well, I've got it here.
Well, if you have it, go ahead and give it to us.
I think, Bruce, we also should remind you that this is recorded and you can revisit it on the web if you miss something.
Okay, but the color phone number is 844-352-6567.
Thank you.
Did you get that, Dane?
Yes, I did.
Good. All right. We're going to move next to Scott Schreff, since he was the first one on the call tonight after me. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Lynn, if there's newer people waiting to get on, I'd like to defer to them.
Okay, do you think you're going to be taking, no, there are no more new people, I don't believe. Are there, Rick?
No. The gentleman who I asked to come in isn't here, and he's missed his shot. And we'd love to hear from Schreff. For those of you, very few of you will remember Schreff. I'm looking at this list, and I'm trying to think who. Peter will remember Schreff, and Len and I will. There aren't a lot of faces that you recognize, are there, Schreff?
No, not from 2017 or 2018.
No, Schreff was with us a long time ago and went through a rough enough time, both physically and mentally. So, and we're really pleased to see your face, although I hope it's for good reasons and not for bad reasons, I have to say.
I think it's good reasons.
Good.
Do you want a short background or should I just jump in?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, 1117 diagnosis, stage 4, I don't know, I had 9 and 10 or whatever. And got on Lupron and Zytiga the end of 2017. And because I was on AnCan, Rick mentioned oligometastatic disease, which I had never heard of, and I don't think my doctors at that point really had. So I was able to get radiation, which wasn't part of the standard of care for metastatic disease at that time. So everything went well. My testosterone went down to pretty much undetectable. My PSA went down to less than 0.03, and pretty much I've stayed there. The reason I called is my testosterone, I've been off of ADT since the end of 19. I guess October actually of 2019 was the last time I got any drug treatment. But my testosterone in January of this year was 21. October of last year it was 4.4. And I'm just extremely fatigued. I don't have much energy. My brain doesn't work real well. And I've heard, I think maybe even Len talk about a testosterone holiday. I just feel like I'm playing with the devil, but wanted to get some of the participants' recommendations.
Scott, do you
Scott,
need a drug holiday?
Pardon?
You said a testosterone holiday. Did you mean a drug holiday? Like a holiday
I'm
from
not
eating?
on any drug.
so you're not on ADT, you're not on any drugs at all,
No,
and your
I'm
testosterone.
on some thyroid drugs, but no ADT drugs.
And you've
But
been on drug holiday since 2019, so that's like almost 3 years.
What's your
He's just
PSA
not
now?
making,
One at a time, guys. One at a time, please. Go ahead, Len.
Scott, did you hear my question? It's been 3 years since you've been on
No,
hormone
sir.
therapy, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So Scott, I would argue.
Go ahead, Herb.
Well, I think you have low testosterone for what? Do you know your pre-treatment testosterone number?
In 2015, it was 961.
Okay, so you went from 961 to undetectable because you were on ADT, and now you're in 20 something.
21, yes.
So I think maybe it's time to consult with both your cancer doc and an endocrinologist to see what's going on that your testosterone has not recovered, because most of the experience that's here and what's written up in the literature is that it takes time for testosterone to recover, but it does eventually recover within a year or two. You're clearly beyond that. So I think it's time to, if you feel that you want a higher level of testosterone because you're fatigued and you think, and obviously everybody, one of us wants more testosterone, right? I think it's time to consult with an endocrinologist.
They all,
Scott,
I
how old
think
are
they
you?
would offer, they sort of offer it to me, but I've been hesitant
You're
because
wondering.
it
Right.
seems to
Right. Right. So a couple of things I would say to you. Last week, we had an older gentleman. He's kind of one of the doyens of prostate cancer advocates, Walt Darden, and you can listen to him talking. And he's been on and off hormone therapy, and I think he does his hormone therapy with estrogen patches. But he decided he needed teeth implants and he needed to boost his testosterone ahead of those teeth implants. So he supplemented his testosterone. And I think what you're saying, and I saw a couple of people wincing when he said that in the windows. But I think what you're asking is, if I supplement my testosterone now and I've got no sign of disease, am I putting myself at risk? Is there anybody that has any input in that in this group? Is that right, Scott? Is that right, Trev?
That's the nail on the head.
That's the nail on the head. So before I give my view, and what I might do if it were me, is there anybody in this group who wants to talk about supplementing testosterone when you've been on hormone therapy? Anybody have any experience? Anybody tried it? No? I mean, let's hope it's not one of these days when we finish and everybody says, well, I did it. Yeah, I ask, and then people come back and say, oh, well, I did it 2 years ago. So now if you did it, now's your time to speak up. Have you ever done it?
There are some people that have.
I know. Okay, well, I'll tell you I did it. I did it because my testosterone was going wild. Now, I was not clearly metastatic. I was stage 3 with suspected micrometastatic. And it turned out that my treatment gave me a durable remission. And I was on hormone therapy for 28 plus months. And when I came off, it took about 7 to 8 months for my testosterone to come back, and it went way up, but then it went way down again, but not to your levels. There are some GU medical oncologists, and there are some urologists and some endocrinologists who do believe you can do it, and they feel it is safe. My notes say that you were treated by George Garcia at Cleveland Clinic. Is that right, Trev?
Yes, sir.
So I think I would start by going back to Dr. Garcia and saying, hey, my testosterone hasn't returned. We should be more than 21 by now. And can we work out a plan? And I think there are some good urologists at Cleveland Clinic, and there's certainly good endocrinologists at Cleveland Clinic. And I think that's a real good place for you to be trying to develop a plan, given the situation that you have. And I think that, if you were to supplement with a lot of surveillance, maybe it would work. But that's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be sitting there and suffering like you're suffering. I'd be talking to your docs at Cleveland Clinic as to what to do next. Anybody else?
Scott, how old are you? Scott, did you hear me?
No, sir.
How old are you?
69.
Okay. Before you undergo any testosterone supplementation, when is the last time you were scanned?
would have been the end of 2019 when I came off the ADT.
I would talk to your doctors about the advisability of having a scan, even though your PSA is low, having a scan before they put you on a testosterone supplement, because there are sometimes, the cancer sometimes mutates to a type that no longer produces PSA. So even though your PSA is low, your
Right.
cancer may be growing, and so you certainly don't want to put fuel on that fire. So just to rule out that scenario, talk to them about getting another scan of some kind.
Do you know what kind of scan?
Well,
I mean, you could
yeah,
get
but
an MRI, a CT scan, you could get Axumin scan.
yeah, but yeah, the PSMA scan isn't going to do you much good because you don't have
No,
enough. You're not showing anything. But then by that theory, if you had something, but maybe it doesn't express PSMA. But I think Len's right. I mean, maybe an Axumin scan, but it's unlikely. But yeah, but I mean, I know. I mean, you have a history of hypothyroidism, so I would be talking to the endocrinologist. Have you spoken to the endocrinologist about this?
No, it's been a number of years since I talked to
So
the
I mean,
and
you know, it may well be that when they took the testosterone out of your body, and because you had a defective thyroid, that when you came off the ADT, the thyroid didn't respond like it would in most people. And I think that, you know, maybe there's some stimulation to the thyroid. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doc. Dr. John, is there anything, if you're I know it's not your field, but if you're hypothyroid and you go on ADT, could the thyroid get very lazy when you come off the ADT?
No, not that I know of. And he probably is having, Scott, you're probably having TSH levels drawn every several months anyway to make sure that your fatigue is not due to your thyroid supplementation being too low. Is your thyroid hormones right on the money?
I think they are. I get that tested every quarter or so, and they adjust the medication.
You just had it on. You switched to arm or again. No.
Yeah, I would agree with John.
other than your fatigue, do you have any other symptoms?
Yeah, my brain doesn't work very well. It's feels like early Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Okay, but no bone pain or anything like that.
Yeah, I got a lot of bone pain, but the seemed like I had a bad back to start with, but after the second Lupron shot, it just, I mean, I couldn't walk for a week, and then it just got worse and worse. Once I ended the radiation, I went ahead and got a back surgery. That helped a while. And then after I got rid of the ADT, I had 2 more back surgeries. Had to get, my back sort of went into
Kyphosis.
what is it?
Kyphosis. You had
curvature of the spine. So they went in and they put
I can't do that.
clamps, hardware in there, and tried to straighten it
I'll
up
try
enough
without.
that I could walk. But I don't know what that's all about. They don't either.
But you had so much arthritis.
I think, Scott, I think the best you can take away from here right now is huddle with your endocrinologist. You need to make an appointment with your endocrinologist and with Garcia and see if you can put the two of them together. And I think that,
Okay.
you know, Garcia's smart enough that he's going to do all the right checks before he would give you a green light to supplement your testosterone. I mean, Len's, and we've mentioned it to you, so you know to ask about that. And then come back and tell us. But I think that's the best we can say here.
Well, I appreciate the help. Want everybody to know here that the information that I gained about oligometastatic from Rick was a real game changer when I took that back to Cleveland Clinic. It opened up a road that wasn't open prior to that. What am I trying to say?
Well, that led us to Omar Meehan, Dr. Meehan at Cleveland Clinic, who is a researcher in radiology, oncology, and he really has done wonderful for us.
Well, thank you. That must be Mrs. Schreff. Hello, Mrs. Schreff.
Yes.
Hello. Thank you, Rick, for everything you've done.
Oh,
and
it's
I
a
so
pleasure.
appreciate
Look,
you saying he shouldn't be suffering with this
yeah, we
lack
want
of
to get him out of this suffering. So please make sure, set up those two doctor's appointments and get the two of those doctors talking together. Or maybe even if you want to try a different endocrinologist, you know, let Garcia bring in somebody from Cleveland Clinic. That might be another plan, but I don't think we can suggest more than that. And then come back and tell us. And don't make it another 2 years. No more 2 years absence, okay?
Thank you.
Len,
Thank you.
go ahead, Len.
Okay, Scott, thank you. All right, let's go to Carl Foreman, who seemed pretty anxious to get some time tonight. Go ahead, Carl.
Okay, so 2 weeks ago today, I had my 5th treatment of chemo, cabazitaxel, and carboplatin. 2 days later, on Thursday, I had scans, which was CT of the chest, abdomen, and pelvis, as well as a whole body bone scan. Waiting for the results, and I saw the report the following Monday before having spoken to my oncologist, and it didn't look so great. When I did get a hold of my oncologist, he said that, well, and I'll pull up the email, but basically the small mets that I had in my lungs have now disappeared, and that the spine seemed to show improvement. Now, one of the quirks in this whole thing is that when the radiologist did a comparison, he did a comparison to an old version from July of 2021. I since had 2 more scans, which they did not have in their system. I ran over there, got the disc. They were done at Weill Cornell, so they weren't done at that location. So the last real scan that needed to be compared against would have occurred in January of this year. So I don't have a report that shows the comparison. And the oncologist even made a point to say that had they reviewed it as of January instead of the previous July, it would have shown improvement. So I'm waiting as we speak, hopefully within the next day or two, that there will be an amended radiology report to reflect the January 22 scans. And so just to share my Okay, my oncologist had sent to me, okay. First, he was saying he didn't have the link to the January scans. I sent it to him, and then he said he found them. Okay. So he said lung nodules on CT chest have gone away. Bone mets and spine and ribs, I think they were there. I think they were there. So what the heck does that mean? And prior to this discussion here, I figured, okay, let me send him an email, see if he responds before the meeting, and he did. Let's see. Yeah, I just said, not sure what you mean by I think they were there in regards to bone mets. Are they also gone or reduced in size? And his response was, bone mets don't reflect well on CT. They look bigger even after cancer is treated for months and may never look normal again. So I see a new, in quotation marks, bone met after I start a therapy. I would presume it was already there and not necessarily worsening cancer. Going back to his previous response also, he did say, my assessment is that this is chemotherapy responsive disease. I'm looking at everything on a positive note. So I think I'm okay. I think it's showing, benefit with the treatment. And I guess the story is to continue. I'm not quite sure whether the comparison of the January report as opposed to the previous July would show, although the oncologist says it should show improvement over that. And just to share the, trying to do this quick so I know other people need to speak. I'm pulling up the, so the whole body bone scan, progression of the disease in the thoracic spine and ribs, questionable finding in the region of the inferior angle of the right scapula, which was not previously seen, question of new activity in left acetabulum, but this could also be arthritic. So that's the whole body bone scan. And the CT scan is kind of similar where they say, yes, there's metastasis in by the seventh rib, which I had known previously, and it's still saying that. So could that theoretically mean that that's going to show a better outcome since we're going to compare a more current scan?
Call your scans are great. What's your PSA?
The PSA is 6 compared to 62 when I started the chemo.
So what I think you're on the right track. What more can we say? If you're going to start, if you're reading scans like you're reading the Talmud, you can probably get lost. And I think you want to look at the big picture.
Correct, yes, and I have to say, on more than one occasion, on multiple occasions, my oncologist has always reminded me, don't just look at the PSA. So the fact that the PSA has dropped is not a bad thing, is a good thing, but don't just look at the PSA. So.
Well, right, but I think, you're painting a picture to most of us that things are moving in the right direction. And but you can always pick out something that's not going to be consistent if you try.
How are you feeling, Carl?
Well, okay, yes, that's another key point, absolutely, that the oncologist says. I'm feeling pretty good. I don't have any long-term side effects. Within the first 2 to 3 days of the chemo treatment, there's more fatigue and a little bit of nausea, but after that, it just goes away. So my next treatment will be June 1st. It's every 3 weeks, and I'm not feeling pain in any areas which I had previously felt in. So I'm definitely looking at it as a positive sign.
Ken, you
Hopefully
probably
the
want to
wish
say something.
continued success. And in keeping with Herb's
Uh,
comment about the Talmud, I'm going to say Mazel Tov. Good luck.
I really, 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 really want to say to Carl is like, take the wins when you get them. Go find stuff you enjoy to do. Get out and enjoy life. Don't
We've clearly been ramping up our travels, our vacations. We've been to Brigantine, which is outside of Atlantic City, which is a really nice, especially before Memorial Day. We're going up to the Berkshires to see the Boston Symphony Orchestra. We have a cruise that we just finished a few weeks ago. We booked a second cruise that's leaving on June 14th. So we've jammed in a whole bunch of vacations. The end of August, we're also going on a family vacation. We rented a 5-bedroom house through VRBO on the lake at Lake Arrowhead in Pennsylvania. That's in August. So we've definitely ramped it up.
Excellent.
Good for you. All right.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's go to Mr. Peter Kafka.
Okay. I did a blood test last week, so I've been on the phone, on the move quite a bit the last several days. PSA in January, February, March was 0.15. PSA in mid-April was 0.3. PSA last week was 0.53. So on the move. I got Dr. Schultz went to bat right away because I'm headed to the mainland. I've got a car shipped over, and I'm picking it up Friday in Oakland. And I called up Schultz's office, and they set up a PSMA scan for me at El Camino down in Mountain View a week from today on Tuesday before I drive east to Denver and then Minneapolis. So that's my first step, is doing the PSMA scan. I sent an email to Schultz talking about, what's next. See what the PSMA scan shows. Whether this is the time to do Provenge, possibly, if I can qualify. Probably have to start Lupron. I haven't been on Lupron since last July, so that'll probably happen after the scan. I've got an appointment to talk to Schultz on the 13th on the phone. And since I'm going to be in Minneapolis, I got an appointment today with Dr. Antanarakis on the 20th, since I'll be back there in June before I come back to Maui for the month of July. So I've got some possibilities, and I want to get a second opinion consultation from Antanarakis after I talk to Schultz and see what the next branch of the tree that I reach for is. So that's the short and the long of it. So, low PSA, but it's in the past, this is my third PSMA scan. The last two led to treatments the same way, catching it early, watching it double within a month or so. And we'll see where it goes. So anybody have any comments? Would you approach it differently?
I think you're on top of it, Peter. Right, you've got appointments for all the right stuff.
Yeah, you're on top of it, Peter. You're not going to let it slide by you. So I would enjoy your trip to the mainland, have a nice drive to Denver, and you just keep banging on it.
Yeah, I hope I get a plan like that together so fast when my time to do that comes.
It's good. It's good to have docs that'll go to bat for you pretty quickly.
No kidding. How long were you off Lupron, Peter?
Since last July.
Almost a year. Okay.
Almost a year, yeah. So it's probably time to start again, but I don't want to start before the scan. So So
Right.
I just wish you were driving north to go salmon fishing on the Columbia with me.
that was my original plan until the blood test. Then I changed plans quick. And now I'm going to try to have coffee with Jeff Marchi in the city.
Gotcha.
Is that about a typical time for people who go off ADT? Is it like a year, a little less typically, or is it just all over the place?
Well, I tend to, it's been 2 years since my chemo. So I tend to make it about a year and a half, 2 years before something pops again and time to do something else. Because I'll be back here in Hawaii in July, but this is not the place to do Provenge. So if I can get into a Provenge program, I'll be in Minneapolis, August, September, October. So I'll talk to Schultz and Antarakis and see if they can go to bat for me on the Provenge. Maybe I'll see if I can do that in Minneapolis before I start anything else.
How many weeks does it take to do Provenge?
Six.
6.
Every 2 weeks. 6
But
weeks.
the only issue for you, Peter, is are you castrate resistant?
Well,
And
we
you're
don't
probably not.
until we start Lupron. My testosterone, because I'm on monotherapy lutamide, my testosterone is up around 70 right now the last 2
Right.
months. So if Lupron brings it back down again, then we don't know. We don't know. So all these are mysteries.
Because if Lupron works, you don't need the Provenge.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I might be able to buy more time without doing anything.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
but
by the way, I
you know,
did have a Lupron shot today, and I realized how much better it is than the other than gosrelin.
okay, Herb,
Oh,
let's just
Yeah.
let's just stick
Okay.
with Peter for the second.
Okay.
I think that if anybody can get you Provenge now, Peter, it's Mark Schultz. I really think that's a real possibility. And the earlier you get Provenge, the better you are. So I would talk to Dr. Schultz about seeing if he can do his magic to get your Provenge now, and he probably can. You know, how he does it, we don't know how he does it, but he gets drugs when other people cannot. So you know, he's doing great what he's doing, and I would take advantage of it from your standpoint, and see if you can get it and get your Provenge, get the Provenge whilst you're in Minneapolis. I mean, you know, there's no downside. Just get it in you.
Right. I have an appointment. He was willing to see me right away on the phone, but I have an appointment with him on the 13th. I'd rather meet with him after the scan than right away. So we'll talk about it as soon as the scan results come in.
So, you know, if it were me, I do the Provenge as soon as I can and let him worry about whether you're castrate resistant or not, because somehow or other he manages to get that Provenge for people who are and who are not. I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
Yeah, that's my thinking too.
And if you're successful with Schultz, he's going to be my next doc to get Provenge, because I'm in the same boat you are, more or less.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, hold on a minute. Let's not knock Dr. O. He does some pretty amazing things too. He could probably get it. If anybody, he might be my second choice in order to get somebody Provenge, Len.
Yeah, that's true. But I've discussed it with him in the past, and he's a little bit equivocal about Provenge. He'll say something like, well, yeah, we could do that. You know, like, I'm not a big fan, but we could do that. So
I'm looking forward to meeting Antarakis. I've heard so much about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Minneapolis. Might as well set up something with him.
I think he's got a bit of a reputation for looking for solutions other than hormone therapy, as maybe Joel Blanchett could tell us. So that would be interesting to see what he has to say.
Okay, thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you, Peter. And next, we're going to go to Gary Peters.
Thanks, Len. I've heard in the last few meetings, Rick say a couple of times to new people, alerting them to the importance of getting a bone density scan when they're starting ADT. My experience was much like Jim Ward's. When I was starting this journey, nobody had told me that. And I started ADT without a bone density scan. And I didn't have a bone density scan for about 6 months. When I did, it showed osteopenia in my lumbar spine. I still got no bone strengthener at that point. And some of you know I reported it a few months ago that in March I suffered a collapsed vertebrae in my lumbar spine. And after that, I was given the first Prolia shot, which they plan to continue. So, and I also have read some things coming out of some of these recent conferences where oncologists are sort of admonishing one another to say, we need to start paying more attention to bone health. So I'm just wondering if my experience and Jim Ward's experience is more the norm, or was my oncologist woefully wrong in not putting me on a bone strengthener, at least at the point where I had osteopenia show up on a bone density scan.
Gary, I forgot, are you metastatic or were you at some point?
To the regional lymph nodes.
Or just to the lymph nodes? Okay. Well, first of all, if they're going to put you on a bone strengthener, I'm surprised they didn't put you on Exgiva, denosumab, which is double the dose of Prolia, and you give it every 3 months instead of Prolia, which is given once every 6 months. Now, maybe because you don't have bone mets, they went with Prolia.
That's what they said, that Exgiva would be given only if I was metastatic, fully metastatic.
You're talking to your lawyer about this. You know, I mean, I don't think that your doctor was negligent, if that's where you're getting at. I mean, you never had bone mets. You didn't have osteoporosis. You had osteopenia. So when you had it, he put you on Prolia. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's pretty.
I would agree.
Responsible.
I mean, if you had bone mets, Gary, and there was a chance that you needed that bone activity to sort of strengthen bone against cancer, I would argue that yes, that would have been a neglect. That would have been something not great. That would have been bad. But given that it basically is an endocrine problem rather than a cancer problem, right? In the sense that you have osteopenia. By the way, all of us do. It's not that it's totally common as you get older. And so, and most people with osteopenia, if they don't have cancer, don't get Prolia or Exgiva because they don't get a bone scan. So my own sense of it is I think that you're getting appropriate treatment.
Okay.
If you had
Well,
bone mets, I would say, I would think I would feel differently.
yeah, I'll take issue with Herb over that.
Okay.
Because there is a protocol that says if you're putting a man on long-term hormone therapy, meaning for over 9 months, you should do a bone density test at the time you put the patient on the drug. And the reason for that is because if the bone density is lacking at that time, it could be compromised by going on androgen deprivation therapy, and therefore you can take some preventative action. Now, I happen to be a case in point, and that's why I do think that the doctors know when they put you on hormone therapy and you're gonna be on there for a year or so or more, they need to test bone density. I agree with Jim Ward very, very strongly, and with Ken, and they don't do it. And I do think that it is a prospective malpractice. So my own situation, I was a long distance runner for years and years. Did I think I had any issue with my bone density? No. That said, my sister had issues. My dad lost a lot of height. So there was, but it still didn't occur to me that, oh, maybe I've got a problem. And when my doctor put me on 28 months of hormone therapy, he also ordered a bone density. And what do you know? I'm osteoporotic in my spine. You could have knocked me over with a feather. So what did they do? They gave me, and I was not metastatic, although I was suspected micrometastatic. So they gave me 3 shots of Zometa over 2 years, one at the beginning, one in the middle, one at the end. I changed my exercise regime and I significantly improved my bone density. Now, had they waited until halfway through or 3/4 of the way through the program, and I might have had an issue and I would have gone in and got a bone density spread, maybe it wouldn't have been reversible at that point. So, whilst we know that Zometa is recommended for men who have metastasis, it is also recommended for men who have compromised bone density when they're going on hormone therapy. And I think that's what Gary's getting at. And I would say, yeah, that he didn't get the right treatment.
Rick, I stand
Right
corrected.
treatment.
I stand corrected. I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I would go with what Rick said.
I'm sorry that I wasn't part of this group at the time. I did not know to ask for it.
I mean, I have to say, when I was diagnosed, and I was like Rick, a long distance runner, diagnosed, but I have to say the first thing they did was a bone density scan before they put me on ADT. And surprise, surprise, I needed Prolia.
Right.
Are you still on it?
And with you, Herb,
I had a
it could
shot
have even been
today.
upgraded. With Herb, it could have been upgraded from Prolia because you also had bone mets that they could see. So you needed it doubly. But for people like
Right. Well, I've
Gary
been
or
getting
myself,
Prolia.
where it might not have been obvious, they should do the bone density test if they know that they're putting us on.
Right.
They're putting us on long-term hormone therapy.
Right. But I will say, Rick, with Prolia, my bone density has significantly increased.
Good.
And how long have you been?
I mean, it has worked.
Herb, how long have you been on it?
Now it's probably going on 3 years.
Every 6 months?
Every 6 months.
All right, fingers crossed.
I was put on Fosamax right after I started ADT, and my bone density has improved So
Right.
for some reason, they thought at the time that people who go on ADT should also go on Fosamax or something equivalent.
No, well, how long were they putting you, that they were putting you on for long term? What they should have done, I mean, that's the cheap Kaiser Permanente cop out. I know it is. And I was at Kaiser Permanente at the time too. Unfortunately, I had a great urologist and he said, let's get you a bone density test. And the result was they gave me Zometa. Fosamax is a horrible drug to take because you've got to get up early and you've got to take it and then you've got to wait and it's a pain in the butt.
Oh, it hasn't been a problem. I take it right after I get up. I wait there, I go take a shower. By the time I get done, it's time to take my prednisone. But it has worked well on my bone scans. They have improved. So but the point I was making is they started at the beginning because they know that what ADT does.
But it's a cheap way to do it. I mean, if they knew you're metastatic, Jeff, and
I wasn't at the time.
You were not at the time?
Right. I was just on Lupron.
And what was your bone density when they put you on Fosamax?
I don't know if there's a number you could put on that. There's a long report.
There is a number you could put on it, but you could just say osteoporosis or osteopenia.
Oh, I have osteopenia for sure, but my chance, for example, of my hips having a hip problem has reduced.
Okay.
It's a few of the different things.
Jeff, all I'm saying is this. When they put you on, they should have done a bone density test.
Oh, they did.
Okay. If your bone density was osteopenic, they should have given you more than Fosamax, but Fosamax is the cheapest solution. What they should have done is given you, and there are a lot of people that don't like taking Fosamax because it causes regurgitation, and you got to get up early to take it. And you know what they could have done is they could have done what they did with me across the bay. They gave me a Zometa shot, which took all of 40 minutes. And a year later, they gave me another Zometa shot. And a year later, they gave me another Zometa shot. And you got to ask, why don't they do it? And the answer is because it's Kaiser and they'd rather save money. And it's, you know, that's not the right standard of care, but that's what they did. But that's why they gave you the Fosamax.
Well, I'll ask them about it, but it has definitely helped my bone density. So I'll check into getting Zometa. I mean, there's no reason I can't.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. How about Ken Anderson before he falls into the North Rim? You had an update first, Ken?
Sorry, I was chatting. No, I in regards to updates, it's pretty simple, you know, and I can't stress enough getting out and doing the things you enjoy. And Lynn, I want to second your comment about Docenab or Exgeva. It's something that you guys should all push. The insurance companies hate paying for it because there are cheaper alternatives. I go to battle every 3 months to get a shot of Exgeva. So I would, as I do, go to battle for it. It's a better drug. It's more current. That's the one you guys should be fighting for. So as far as myself, you know, I'm happy to report my hair's coming back, kind of. Oh, I didn't turn the camera on. It's not coming back as rapidly as I'd like it, but I have hair on my legs, which I haven't had in 4 years. So I guess chemo, eventually I'll get all my hair back. It's going to be white, but now to get the cancer. You know, lutetium, I don't know if you guys or anyone has heard what the quality control issue was with Novartis. I've been digging around trying to find out if it was the delivery time, it was a breakdown of the the radiopharmaceutical. I don't really know what the problem was, and no one is willing to actually tell us.
Well,
So I'd like to know
I
because.
mean,
Go ahead, Lynn.
I mean, my
Go ahead, Herb.
reading of it is that it has to do with the lutetium. And the reason I say that, right, not just Pluvicto, because they've discontinued Lutathera, which is their other lutetium compound. So they have two compounds that use lutetium, one for prostate, and one I think the other is for pancreatic, but I'm not positive.
Neoendocrine
They both are
cancers.
not. I'm sorry. For what?
Neoendocrine cancers, and it is used in pancreatic.
Neuroendocrine. So, and they're not making either now.
Well, the information I got was they were still manufacturing the second one, not Pluvicto, in New Jersey, but they were doing the other one for neuroendocrine. We at the moment are receiving, lutetium-617 from Italy, and they were having problems with production in Italy that was causing at least the delivery of lutetium. That's why they discontinued the program short term. Anyway, I've got mine scheduled. Unfortunately, it's scheduled for the 22nd. I get off the boat at 6 a.m. I have a 3-night tuna fishing trip starting on the 19th. And I have to beat feet back to Phoenix on the 22nd, which I'm going to do because my PSA is 95 at the moment. Not happy about it. Not happy about them changing the whole schedule. I had my 6 to 8 months laid out based on lutetium schedules. So
Well,
I know, Herb, what you're saying, but it is what we have to do.
Ken,
We
they
just kind
fucked
of.
up.
I don't want
Ken,
to
they fucked up my
recording,
schedule
Herb, but I do.
Wait,
I
hold
know.
on, guys.
Well, my
They
concern is
screwed up my schedule badly.
that's a better way to
In
say
that
it.
they screwed up my schedule badly. I am off to sailing in Scotland on the 22nd, and they wanted to give me my shot on the 22nd. And so that can't be done.
That's when mine's scheduled. Yeah.
Right, that's when they would
Well,
have given
anyway,
it to me, so I have to.
I understand, Herb. I do. Sorry, it's going as mine is. It's just kind of a messy thing. Novartis, after getting FDA, as Lynn said, this company should have had their shit together. I'm not happy at all with them, and I told their personal rep, this Rebecca, Barnes or Bain, whatever her name is. It's really bad. I don't know why or how the FDA could approve a drug when they don't have the process for manufacturing it laid out 100%. So that all being said, I'm doing okay. But, right now I'm up in the canyon. I'll be here for a week hiking. So all good. Don't like having a 95 PSA, but honestly, I feel fine, which is crazy. So I'm going to do all that I can to stay as active as I can. Don't sit around home, guys. That's it. I don't have any.
It's crazy good, Ken. You're doing well, and you're our role model for being active, and we're all amazed at what you've done right through all those many sessions of chemo.
Well, honestly, Len, I just like to have your hair.
Well, I was going to ask you, was your hair like Peter's before you underwent chemo? or was it more like, I don't want to pick on anybody here, but.
No, don't, just leave it alone. It's fine.
Okay.
It was thin, but it was hair. So I don't really give a rat's ass about hair. So I'm just joking, really. So
you're a handsome guy either way.
Yeah, just keep moving. I'm unhappy really for people like Brian Heisig that got 3 rounds of lutetium and it didn't work for him. And did it not work for him because the lutetium was defective? I can't, and I chat with him all the time. I don't know, and not only, there's 2 guys I know that have had rounds recently that the bloody stuff didn't work for them. So do they start over
Well, Ken,
or?
well, Ken, when I started, my doc said it's a third, a third, a third. He said a third
No,
of the
I
guys it
know.
doesn't work, a third of the
Yeah.
guys it works really well, and
Yeah, I know that's true. I do. I've had,
So,
go ahead.
so if you know it's true, and I'm just sitting here listening, guys, but it bothers me that we're beating up on AAA here. Was it good? No, it absolutely wasn't good. But one of the reasons that we discovered, I think it was Herb that did this, is that the FDA fell down. Now, I haven't heard anybody say, let's beat up on the FDA, but apparently when COVID came down, the FDA stopped doing plant trips. We don't know if they did a plant trip to Ivrea or not. But Len pointed out that part of the FDA approval is to make sure that the processing is correct.
right.
This particular case, obviously the processing wasn't right, and they still got an approval. Now, at the end of the day, this is still a great treatment. It's still going to give all you guys hope, not all you guys, but it's going to give at least a third, if not more, a respite. And I think we've got to be thankful that we can get you off of chemotherapy and get you onto lutetium.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree, Rick. I really don't. And whether
So,
I'm like,
I just don't want you guys to be, yeah, I understand and I get it. And I can see why you're angry at AAA, but they're embarrassed too, and they're doing everything they can to fix it. Interestingly enough, I was looking yesterday. I can't even remember why, and I saw that Nevada. I think it was on through LinkedIn. I saw Novartis is looking for a production manager for Ivrea in Italy. So I'm not surprised they're looking for a production manager in Italy. I mean, this is just what happened wasn't right, but they know it wasn't right. They'll make it good. And you guys are getting in on managed access. I mean, you frankly, both you guys are really lucky to be getting it on managed access anyway. You snuck in under the wire.
I wouldn't call it sneaking in, Rick. I worked my ass off for 4 months.
Yeah, but they approved it by FDA, but they approved it with FDA, Ken. And after they approved it with FDA, you weren't eligible. And that's the rules. That's the rules.
No, Rick, I'm
So,
not saying
yes,
I wasn't grateful.
I'm not saying that you didn't deserve to get it. What I'm saying is you were lucky to get it because the rules said after this date, you're done. But a couple of you snuck in after the date. Okay, God bless you. But I don't, thank you.
Let me move on real quick.
One of the things I don't hear enough on this call, I hear it from some people, but not from a lot of people, is thank you. I mean, some of you, so we're making a difference all the time. And we can't, and yes, we're moaning about this, and yes, I understand, and thank God I'm not in your situation, but we'll try and make it good for you. We'll do our best. But we can't work around your boating schedules and your fishing schedules and everything else. You've got to be prepared to shift those around. I'm not just
Rick, I'm not saying you need to work around anything, or this group needs to work.
About it. And don't complain about it. That's
I wanted to move along and ask Herb how it is that the group that he's getting lutetium came to the conclusion that the round of lutetium that he was scheduled to get wasn't good enough. What was it? Was it like measuring the radioactiveness of the particles, or?
I do not know. I do not know.
Okay.
Right. I mean, the first time, if you remember, they called to say it didn't pass QC, and then I was delayed a week, and then it did, and I got it, and then the second time it was, we were all facing it. So I think,
I know.
you know, obviously it's a novel drug to make. It must not be all that easy to make.
Right. Right.
And I mean, it doesn't matter. And it may not be that it was defective lutetium. It may be that the person getting it wasn't as responsive to it as some other people are. That's a possibility too, as Herb pointed out. I don't think we should jump to conclusions.
Oh, no, I don't think going back to the people who didn't respond, I would not clearly can. I have a Geiger counter at home. I know damn well that I was hot as a pancake.
Okay, good.
I got that lutetium.
Well, they measured me when I got it, and you know, I think, and I'm going to have labs here coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm pretty optimistic that my PSA is going to stay kind of steady, but who the hell knows? But you know, quite honestly, it's not going to change my day. You know, my day is going to be my day, no matter what the dang thing goes to. So, which is different than maybe 4 years ago. But anyway, Lynn, you can move along. I'm done. You know,
Okay,
just
thank you,
happy
Ken.
to be
We
out
do
running
need,
around.
we do need to move on. We've got 6 more guys and only 15 minutes here. So let's see. How about Julian Morales? You said you were going to be quick. Let's get
Oh,
you
yeah.
in.
Yeah, I'm just, I've been taking Nubeca and Orgovex for the last 3 months, or 2 months rather, and had some reactions at first, but they've settled down. And I do some blood work tomorrow, and then I see Dr. E on Tuesday. That's all.
So the reaction was rash?
No, I had some rash at first, and it's gone away. I had diarrhea, and it went away. It's just it was settling in, you know, the first 30 days, and now if I feel anything, it's like, what was that? And it's gone.
Okay, that's good.
I don't know if
Let us
anybody's
know.
else on the same 2 drugs at the same time. So this is
Yeah,
an FYI to the group.
Peter Kafka was taking those 2 drugs for a while. He had a rash also from the Orgovex.
Yeah. Yeah, mine came and went.
Okay. So
Thank you.
can we move on to Jim Marshall?
Yes, anyway, I've been on a drug holiday for about 13 days, and it's wonderful because of the fact that I was on ADT for 57 months. Lupron plus Abby, and so I happened to get a bone scan and it was squeaky clean. So it's good news.
Good for you.
Way to go, Jim.
Jim, how come 57 months? How come the idea of a drug holiday didn't come up for 4.5 years or whatever that is?
Well, it just didn't actually, and so I heard it here about March or so, and so anyway, I had a vacation planned. Okay, and I did not want to start it. Okay, and then depart town. So I stopped it. Okay, at the end of the month, the Lupron ends in July though. So I don't know.
Okay, we got to move, guys. Let's go to Bruce Chapman.
I think my input this week will be that last week was my first time on board, and Peter Kafka took me on as a friend that's traveling this journey, and he's been massively helpful. So I think to the new guys, if you can link up with somebody that's got a similar situation and get some individual coaching, that's a beautiful thing. So thanks, Peter.
Yes, I'll second that. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, so Rick, while we're on Bruce, one question. He couldn't get in to see Dr. Bear. He's not taking new patients. So I suggested he see this woman that you had recommended. Can you tell him anything about her? I can't remember her name.
Yeah, she's
That's
Jacqueline
Dr.
Buki.
Vuki.
Yeah, she's really great. We can connect you if you're interested. Happy to connect you to Ted Healy, I think it is, that sees her. We've got other people that see her too. But Peter, if you can connect, let me just verify that. But I'm pretty certain that it's Ted Healy who sees her. She seems really nice. Ted told a story about her, and I'm pretty certain it was her. I should just look. But Ted told a story about her that was really a great story, and I'm just going to tell you what it is. He said that we were talking in our Speaking Freely group last Thursday about considering your doctor. In other words, maybe sometimes you have to think about who's the person on the other side of that table and what a difficult job they've got, having to tell people they're sick all the time. And there are a couple of guys in this group here right now, I think, who were present. And some of them who have been on both sides of the table, like Dr. John. And Ted Healy said that he walked in to see Dr. Vuki. He didn't name her by name, but I'm pretty certain this is who he was talking about. And he started off by saying, "How are you?" And she said she almost broke down because she just wasn't ready for anybody to think about how she was, in terms of rather than her thinking about how the patients were. And, I just thought that, to me, that's such a great testament about the doctor. You got a compassionate doctor when that happens. John, you want to just comment on that? I mean, I thought it was a great story.
I did too. I'm going to try it on Dr. Petrolak next time.
He's a bit of a cold fish, isn't he?
Probably throw me out of the office.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure. And Gao Shan, I think Gao Shan, are you seeing Dr. Vuki too? Are you there, Gao Shan? You're there, but I think you're there. You are.
Sorry, I was across the room. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been seeing Dr. Vuki, but since I've been out of the country, I've been communicating with her in voice and also via not email, but the OHSU conference with the nurses, and then they pass it on, and I talk to her once every 3 months. But I'm heading back to US for a conference in Austin, then going to Portland for 2 weeks. And I have numerous appointments set up, including with both my radiologist, Dr. Hung, and also GU Med, Dr. Vuki, who I really like.
Okay, great. I am lined up. Haven't got the appointment set yet, but I got a call that she's available accepting new patients. So I'll be calling back tomorrow.
Let us just say two things, Bruce. The first is, from your standpoint, we are really, really happy that you're moving through with this, because your disease needs some attention, and hopefully you're going to get the right attention at OHSU, and it's a good place to get treated. And secondly, just a big shout out to Peter. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see when they come to these meetings. And one of the biggest actors behind the scenes is Peter, and he does a fantastic job. And Len too, in terms of the one-on-one counseling. We don't encourage one-on-one counseling, the way that we work. The groups are free. We just say, make a donation for whatever you can afford if you want one-on-one counseling. And we don't do that for the money. We do it because we're all volunteers and our time is valuable. And we want you to think twice before you ask for our time and realize that it has value. But Peter's time has made a difference to hundreds of men at this point, as has Len, and now Herb's starting to see how he can have an impact on this in this one-on-one world, and it's very rewarding, and we do it, and we're happy that we can provide that to you.
Well, it's all great. Thank you.
Okay, Bruce, thank you. And we're going to go next to Jim Ward.
Oh, hey guys. Yeah, I'm on the phone now. I had to hop off the computer. I don't have anything tonight.
Oh, you don't? Okay, I had a yes next to your name. Sorry about that.
No, that's
all
okay.
Right.
Thank you.
How about Mike Yancey?
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly give an update. As you all know, last week I said that I was going to be having a meeting with Dr. E today, which I did have. And I think she's pretty much everything I was looking for. Actually was able to squeeze in getting some blood tests, a panel blood test done. Is also going to do a further or a more robust genetic test, if you will, more broad on more parameters than what I had previously. And tomorrow I'm supposed to have an MRI of the prostate as well as a PYLARIFY PSMA scan. So things are moving along.
And how did you? What about the personal aspect? Good, bad, indifferent?
Oh, I think it was very positive, very good. I mean, meeting went a little bit different than I had envisioned, from my, corporate approach to things, but it went very well. And, she basically, explained a lot of things, gave her opinion on a lot of things from history that, either did or didn't occur versus, where we're at now and things she wants to do going forward. And so we've, after all the tests tomorrow, we'll get back together about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and hopefully we'll make some further plans with that, and I'll head back towards Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, we usually have no reservations referring her. Once or twice there are hiccups, and that happens with everybody. But I think you can see why we asked her to join our advisory board at this point.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for the referral and the recommendation of her. That's been perfect. So thank you.
That's great. It's great.
Mike, how long did it take to get that appointment?
It took me about 2 weeks.
Thank you.
And Peter, how long did it take you to get the appointment with AnCan?
About 15 minutes.
Well, he didn't see you 15 minutes after you called him.
No, I was only gonna be in Minneapolis from about the 14th to the 27th. And when I called, they told me I could have an appointment on a certain date, but Susan had to be down at Mayo that day, so I couldn't do it. So we made an appointment for August 1st, hung up the phone, and 15 minutes later, they said, well, we can get you in June 20th. And I said, book it.
Okay, it's good news. Let's see, Richard Kramen. Is he still with us?
Just need to unmute.
Okay.
I'll make it real short. Diagnosed basically in February of this year. Everybody talking about baselining. That oncology team just baselined everything from the bone density to bone scan to all the blood work, etc. Because I have never had a PSA above 4. And matter of fact, in February it was 2.2. So it was the scan that basically set up what was happening with metastasis to well, it's a different, it is a high-grade foamy gland with desponstoma, which I guess is the edge of the cell. And and at Inova, they could not, they had never seen it. They sent it to Johns Hopkins, and their Dr. Epstein up there in pathology recognized it, and he said they've seen it 21 other cases in the country. But anyway, so it's rare. So what they did was, after the baselining right away, and the CAT scan came back with its metastasized to the lungs and to the pelvic lymph nodes. And so they started with ADT, what is it? Lupride, and then went to chemo at the same time. They decided we'll try hitting it with both. And that started in March. And the good news is they did another CAT scan or CT scan last week, and there were the original description was there were too many nodes to be counted in the lungs, or nodules. So they just picked some to do comparisons, and they have been reduced in size. The ones they picked is easy to measure, I think, more than anything. And the lymph nodes have also decreased in size. So after 3 months, or not quite 3 months, it's looking pretty good in that respect.
How many of you completed? How many rounds of docetaxel have you completed?
4. Last Friday was the 4th.
Okay.
And only one of the Lupride. I come up for a second one in June.
Right.
And how did you feel with the docetaxel?
Hey, I have come through this very well. Very few side effects, no nausea. I'm tired, but that's probably the ADT. A few things like a day of diarrhea here or there right afterwards, but that's it. And everybody says, well, pain or anything else? No, I haven't had any of those kind of problems. The bone scans came out clear when they baselined that, so I hadn't gone that far. And bone density was actually above average, so they, of course, put on the calcium and D3 right away. And right now, they've contacted NIH, and they're all waiting for us to get through 6 rounds of the Taxel and Lutoprin before doing anything else.
Lupron.
Lupron, yes, thank you.
Lupron. So are you scheduled for some clinical trials at
No,
NIH or?
nope. NIH has come back. There's the doctor there has just said right now, not until we figure out what's working or not working.
So,
Right.
Do you
So
know
who's
which
If
your
it
doctor?
continues to reduce it, then let's not uh, change horses yet.
Do you
It's
know
only
which
been March since we started it.
Do you know which doctor at NIH you're dealing with?
It is Andrea Apollo. She does primarily bladder cancer and uh, but she was the one who picked it up and is handling it around the team there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Richard, how many rounds of chemo have you done already?
Four as of Friday, and that was
Good
the
for
fourth
you
one
for
was
doing.
right after the CT scan.
Good for you for doing so well on it. That's remarkable. Great.
Yeah, and I hate to say it this way, but my biggest side effect, besides being tired and a little foggy on occasions, is I'm gaining weight like mad.
That's the Lupron. That's the Lupron.
Yeah.
are you
Everybody said that I should
exercising?
be losing it, and I'm not.
Yes, but are you exercising, Richard?
Yes, I'm trying to. I get
What's
out
that?
walking. I do a couple of miles in the morning, flat. Um, about 4 times a week.
Okay, so you may have to, in order to get rid of that weight, you may have to do a little more exercise and you must do some resistance training with light weights. Very,
Yeah.
very important. Both those things are really important. I know it's not the best, but you've got to, and the walking has to be at a pace that gets your heart rate up.
Oh yeah, it does.
Okay. But if Jimmy is in Italy today, but if Jimmy was here and he's done chemo, he would be giving you some guidance. But you'll be here soon, maybe back in June. I think Jimmy will be back and he'll give you some guidance on the exercise. He's taken that job over from me, which I'm very grateful for. Who would you consider to be your quarterback doc? Is it Markovsky? Is that
No,
right?
Josh Allen
Josh Allen. Okay.
and Markowski. As a matter of fact, they were talking Friday afternoon.
Okay.
But, there was one other side effect, and that was the hot flashes come, and when you get that, you get an elevated heart rate. But
Right, but I think we talked to you about getting a wave. Did we not talk to you about getting a wave?
you mentioned it,
Timberwave.
but basically, it's been tolerable. Somebody was describing that where they were soaking wet at night, and I will maybe get one or two at night where it's enough to wake me up, but that's about it. So I just throw off the covers. So
Richard, thank you very much. You sound like you're doing great.
I'm happy
And
with what's going on, and
you should be. I'm going to turn it over to Rick. Rick, you probably want to talk about the webinar coming up.
I
Or not?
do. Have we gotten through everybody?
I believe so. Anybody who said they wanted time and didn't get it? There you
Jim
go.
was saying I thought he had a scan or doctor's appointment or something this week or last week.
Well, wait a minute. Herb wanted to give us an update. He was talking two things. One was he was talking about this Lupron shot and versus the
Well,
gosrelin.
I
That
mean,
was
it's
one
not
thing. And go
okay.
ahead, Herb.
No, it's interesting. Gosrelin was right in the belly, and it was really quite painful. Not Lupron just went in 1, 2, 3 in the tush,
Yep.
so it was much better. And the other thing, I mean, I wasn't going to say anything because I wanted to move things along, but I just got numbers yesterday, and PSA is relatively stable. It dropped a little bit, which is interesting because I'm not on anything other than ADT right now. So one might suspect that this is a long-term effect of the one shot of lutetium, but we don't know yet.
What about
Did you work
Provenge?
out?
Well, Provenge isn't supposed to touch your PSA.
Well, I love you too. And
So, did
Go ahead, Rick.
Herb, did you resolve your scheduling around your trip and
Well, I
when are you
did, but
getting the next?
I delayed it. I had to delay my next lutetium for 2
Okay.
weeks. I mean,
Okay.
given the status of the PSA, I'm not quite as
Right.
anxious. If it
Right.
were going up, I think I would be more nervous.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, and
Right.
I'm not even, and remember, what they're not even sure they could deliver it on the 22nd. This is only tentative.
Right. That's a really good point that we should have made when Ken was still on the line. That otherwise he'll get upset again. But what we've been told is that all of these dates are tentative. They will confirm them a couple of days before. So they still don't have their production down. They're hoping they can meet these dates. They will start delivering in early June. I think the 5th or the 7th of June are the first appointments. I do know that Jerry Dean's is scheduled, I think, for the 7th or the 9th in Chicago. He's right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. I can share, by the way, my experience at AUA. I represented us. It went well. And they have big exhibits. And the advanced accelerator people had a booth. And I hustled over to the booth to talk to them, only they'd never opened the booth. It was a vacant spot.
So yeah. So so yeah, I want to thank Herb and John Ivory. They represented us really well at AUA. Just a couple of quick things, and I may pass one of them off to Captain Gallo because I usually do it, but he said nothing in this meeting, so it's about time he said something. First of all, if you got the Zero newsletter this morning and you read through it, you might have seen a trial advertised for an application to help with anxiety. That trial should not have been listed. The reason we know that is because Dr. John, who just left, and another psychiatrist who the volunteer for us, spoke with them with Blue Note. And if you have prostate cancer and you are stage 1, 2, or 3, and that's all that it's open to, you have to have had systemic treatment beforehand. So anybody who's in stage 4 is not eligible, and anybody who hasn't had systemic treatment and hormone therapy is excluded. So there's nobody with prostate cancer, we believe, and that was the conclusion we came to with Blue Note. And so we decided not to promote that trial. I guess Zero didn't really do their homework. But I can say, I'm proud to say, and it's a big thank you to Dr. John and Dr. Jerry Rausch that we ran that through. And Joe, you want to just say a quick word about the 2 webinars and what's coming up in June, or maybe I don't know if any of these men are going to be invited to the meeting next week, but go ahead. You're muted, Joe. You're muted. You're muted.
Yep, there you go. The dog was talking earlier. I had to take care of that. We have coming up next week the optimizing sleep, exercise, and nutrition. And that particular webinar is not unique to any particular phase of prostate cancer, but to all. And in fact, it even covers a little bit beyond that. And we have 2 really well-versed people. Dr. Stacy Loeb, who is like, if you haven't seen her, you're missing a lot. And then also Justin Gregg, and Rick knows we had a few minutes today with them, and they're really putting together a really fine program.
Yeah.
Yep. So that'll be good. That one you need to register for. So take a look in the chat, okay? And you can actually register directly from the chat if you want, because it's highlighted. But that one needs registration. And then the day after, we're also having a drop-in type session, a seminar on BPH. And BPH is applicable to pretty much everybody as well, either you or your friends or others. And with that one, we've got Dr. Steve Kaplan, who is coming in, and that one will be in the Barniscus room like we are right now at 8 p.m. So those are the 2 major ones. The information is in the chat if you want it.
Right. And can I just say on that BPH that we will also be discussing with Dr. Steve frequency and urgency. And that's an issue that a lot of you guys deal with, the frequency and the urgency. Even if you've still got a treated prostate, you are dealing with that. So if you've got questions, send them to Joe G at ancan.org, and we'll try and get you in. So he's going to start off by talking about BPH treatments, but he is going to talk about frequency and urgency. And
Believe
Joe, you want to?
What I cut and pasted there was the text that you wrote up for all this. So I plagiarized.
Oh, okay. And
it's all.
And tell them what you're doing for the vets.
Well, it's something new, and we don't have it totally. We got it shaped out, but not totally locked out. We're going to try to create with the Vets Prostate Cancer Group, which is Mike Bing Crosby, and the idea is that we're going to try to provide a source for predominantly prostate cancer, but all the other cancers, of finding your way through the VA system, how you get in, how you locate a particular doc or a procedure or a process, or the VA is an excellent organization, but it's so damn big that sometimes it's pretty hard to find your way around. And the initial steps are definitely difficult. You know, I'm a retired IT guy, and I found that really difficult. So that on this Thursday night in the Barniscus room, again at 8 o'clock, we're going to have I'm calling it a planning session. We're going to try to define some of the things that we think we need to cover, some of the areas. I'm not sure what the attendance is going to be like, but I didn't try to force that, because to be honest with you, it'll be nice if I just get a couple of handfuls of you guys coming in, rather than having 100 people drop in and then everybody wanting to input to it. The idea is that we will have this support group operate once a month, with in joint measure with us and the VPCA folks. And any good ideas you have, if you want to stop in Thursday night, please. If you just want to send me an email, again, it's joeg@ancan.org. If you want to send me an email and say, you know, what we really ought to look at, or these are the kinds of problems I've been having, or these are the questions. What we're trying to do is, like we do here in the support groups, be a source for folks who are trying to say, well, okay, but now what do I do? Or how do I find it out? Or who do I contact? Or if you're really good at it, helping to provide that to the guys who are coming along. And it won't be all guys, I'm sorry, I got to say that. It's spouses, as well as, like I said, we got at least one person coming from the MS group. And the idea is to be able to share it. And then the group itself will, if we find somebody that comes in and they say, well, I need more details. Either I've got advanced cancer or I'm a brand newbie and I'm in active surveillance, then we'll try to connect them up with mostly the cases of the AnCan prostate groups. Thoughts, comments?
Just a huge thank you to you, Joe, for undertaking this. It's so needed. Okay, guys, we got to clear out the room because the MS people are going to be in here any second. But a week tonight, join us for Stacy Loeb and Justin Griggs. It's going to be good. I heard a little bit of a preview. Sign up. Good night, everybody. Happy Memorial Day.
Rick, do I do
Good
the
night.
recording?
What's that, Len?
Do I stop the recording?
Yes.
No, we just close the room. It's fine.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, but register for the webinar.
Register for the webinar.